The saxophone is one of the most unique instruments ever created and one of the hardest instruments to learn how to play. However, when it comes to the woodwind instruments, the saxophone is considered to be one of the easiest of the woodwind instruments when it comes to creating your sound. But I'll explain later throughout my speech what a woodwind instrument is, as well as how to create your sound. Now, I'm not playing at the moment, however, I have been playing for roughly 11 years on and off, and I'm excited to share some of my knowledge with all of you. The saxophone was invented in the 1840s by a man by the name of Adolph Sax, hence the name saxophone. He was a musical instrument designer born in Belgium who could play many wind instruments. His idea was to create a musical instrument that combined the best qualities of a woodwind instrument, such as the clarinet, with the best qualities of a brass instrument, such as a trumpet or the trombone. And in the 1840s, he conceived the saxophone. But according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, despite being such a successful musical instrument designer, he actually lived most of his life in poverty. Now, the metal parts of the saxophone are composed of brass, which is an alloy, composed of copper and zinc. And compared to iron, it is more rust resistant and is easier to work with. Now, usually, most saxophones are gold plated, but there are exceptions to that. That's not a rule. As you guys can see, my saxophone is black. Hopefully you guys can tell. Not sure if you guys can see it on the video, but my saxophone is black with silver plated keys. The saxophone consists of four main parts. One is the neck, the body, the U-shaped bow, and the round flared bell, which is this part right here. Along the body, there are 25 note holes, and there are also the round note hole covers are known as pads, which is basically what you press to get your desired key. Something like this. Those are the pads. Now that we've talked a little about who created the saxophone, what it is made of, as well as some of its body parts, let's talk a little about the saxophone family. According to Yamaha.com, the saxophone family consists of 14 different kinds of saxophones. However, there are only 5 types of saxophones in widespread use. In pitch order, from high to low, those would be the soprano, which looks like a clarinet, the alto saxophone, which is what I'm holding now, the tenor sax, baritone sax, and the bass saxophone. Now, amongst those 5 saxophones, the 2 saxes that are played by the majority of the musicians are one, the alto sax, which is what I'm holding, and the tenor. I don't have a tenor saxophone, unfortunately, but it looks a lot like this one. It's just bigger, and the neck, it's like a bent neck. That's basically how you can tell that it's a tenor saxophone, and that instrument is commonly used in jazz music because of its specific sound. Now, as we discussed earlier, the saxophone is made out of brass. However, it's considered a woodwind instrument because in order to create your sound, you need to use a reed. Now, the reed, hopefully you guys can see it, looks like wood, but it's actually cane, right? And if the instrument uses a reed, then it's considered a woodwind instrument. That's like a rule of thumb. The reed is held firmly to the saxophone mouthpiece, which is this part, by the mouthpiece ligature, which is this part right here, that. Then after that, you have to develop your embouchure, and to quote the vaultmusicandarts.com, in its simplest explanation, the embouchure, it's basically what you do with your mouth while you're playing your instrument. And I say instrument because you need to develop your embouchure to play any wind instrument out there, not just the saxophone. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to play a piece. It's a very popular song. I believe it's from the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Just so that you guys can look at what the embouchure looks like and what it should sound like. small example, but as you guys can see, the saxophone has a very creative sound and one that is very versatile. So the saxophone has been known to be used for many different types of music, such as classical, jazz, soul, blues, contemporary, pop, rock, Spanish, you name it. Plus, if you want to cover popular music from the 50s to now, you're gonna need a saxophone player. And one fun fact that I love is how, according to musicamusic.com, the saxophone is actually considered to be the most attractive instrument, followed by the guitar. And that brings me to the conclusion of my speech. And just to summarize, today we talked about the creator of the sax, what it's made of, some of its parts, as well as what a woodwind instrument is and how to create your sound. Now, I strongly believe that the saxophone will continue to evolve and develop, and regardless of what era we live in, the saxophone will always be the most unique and versatile instrument ever created. Thank you.